Hello, my snow angels. This is Snow. So, in my gaming videos, I've been mentioning that I'd be making an announcement soon, but I didn't want to yet until some things were settled. And now that I have purchased plane tickets for me and Shushu, actually, I did the other day, but I was busy with work and couldn't make a video then. But now that I've purchased tickets, I feel like I can make this announcement. And yeah, that announcement is that I am going to be moving from Korea. And I'm going to explain why and go through the whole background to make this, clear. And I thought it would be a full circle thing because 4.5 years ago, I made a video back when I had a car and I was living in the States. I made a video about why I was moving to Korea. So I felt like it would be a good way to bookend. I like having beginnings and having endings, and endings leading to a beginning. And this is going to be both an ending and a beginning. But I hope it's going to be a very good beginning. Okay, so to start off, I'm going to have to start from the beginning. I knew since I was 11 years old that I wanted to be a singer and a songwriter when I grew up. And I knew during my student teaching that I did not want to be a teacher. So let's start from there. Since I was 11 years old, I was writing lyrics. And then when I was in college, I was writing lyrics, making melodies, and putting them on the piano. And I was just doing that through college, even in an open mic night. And I was Mormon then, and there was a stigma. There probably is still a stigma. I have no clue. But there probably is. There's a stigma against working moms or working women in the Mormon church. Like, you're expected to get married, start a family, and stay home to take care of that family. And I disagreed with that when I was in college, and I decided to kind of appease both sides, that teaching would probably be the best option as a Mormon woman that's working. So that was what was the decision behind that, but also getting pressure about music as a career, and that not only should I have a plan B, but that I shouldn't, almost like I shouldn't have this goal, this dream. And then I went into student teaching. It was teaching art in Arizona and high school in Arizona. And it was really hard. It was really difficult. And so after that, I had a summer reading teaching job, and that only lasted the summer. And then after that, I was like, I don't want to teach. But it was my first year out of college, and it was hard to get a job, and so I ended up working in retail and at Target for almost a year. And I was feeling really stuck, couldn't write music, couldn't do anything. I was exhausted. Then I went through my faith crisis, left the Mormon church. But right before I left the Mormon church, about 6 months before, back up. Around the time that I moved states, one of my best friends from college, she introduced me to K-pop and K-drama, right? And, of course, BTS really clicks with me and helped me through the faith crisis that I was having. And then I was teaching myself Korean. I had lived in another country before, and I was feeling that desire to move to another country again and to be in a different culture, speak a different language. And I really liked the Korean culture. I still do. I still definitely love Korean culture. And the way to get there was through getting an E2 visa as an English teacher. And I went through EPIC. And it was a process. It was a pretty long process. I had to do an extensive application, including making lesson plans. And I had to submit that all in February and wait to get an interview. So I got that interview in April and got accepted a couple weeks later. And then a month later was when my shelf broke and I publicly left the Mormon church. And things imploded in my personal life and were really difficult. And were so difficult that getting all my paperwork and all my visa stuff done to move to Korea, I was late with it, so my departure to Korea was delayed for a month. So that meant I was a late placement, and that put me here in September when most people from EPIC intakes would be coming in August, when the first semester of school starts. Well, not the first semester, but it's when a semester of school starts. They start in March in Korea. But like EPIC teachers would either start in March or in August. Excuse me. So, that made things complicated. But, it was the perfect time to, everything lined up to go to Korea after I had left a cult and was needing to get out of the environment. Because keep in mind, I left the cult in the capital of the cult. It was a rough time. One of the roughest times in my life. So I moved to Korea, and then a few months later, COVID hit. But, I moved to Korea and was working on music, and because I was working in a public school, I would teach from 9 until lunchtime, and maybe another class after lunch on some days. And then I would have desk warming until 4:30, and then I would go home. And it was COVID times too. So, and at one point I ended up having my own classroom. So, from the end of 2019 until the end of 2020, I was in that classroom writing music and doing the production myself. I put out over 20 songs in that year. And I also did dance covers in the classroom, guitar covers, ukulele covers. I talked about things like studying Korean and reading in Korean. And I would do my workout in there. And the school got involved. I had people helping me film dance videos. I had someone helping me write Korean songs. The kids would come in while I was practicing violin and viola. That was 2021, by the way. When I started learning violin and viola, I was able to practice in my classroom. The principal was upstairs practicing the saxophone. It was great, All the teachers supported me. The kids were supportive. As a reward, I would dance or sing for them in Korean, and they loved it. And I was, creating, I was growing, I was making music, I was doing what I wanted to do, but I was able to have a sustainable teaching schedule to support me financially. The problem was, because I was a late intake, there was no decision from me of where I would go. So they sent me basically out in the boonies. Yeah, I was out in the countryside, and I knew that in order to grow that I needed to move to Seoul. So after 2 years of being where I was, teaching public school through EPIC, I ended up leaving to move to Seoul. I had a place worked out here, like where to move to, because I had friends here, and I was searching for Hagwons. If you don't know, Hagwon is an academy, and at Hagwons it's very different from public schools. You're expected to take on so much more work, and it's more intense. And there's a lot of really bad Hagwons out there with really bad directors that toe the line of the law, and it's really hard to basically have your rights because your employer is the person that basically has your visa. Your visa is through the company that you work for. And with me coming here at the end of September to Seoul, it was really difficult for me to find a job at a good Hagwon, or like the best you can get is not super bad because most of them are really bad. And it took me a while because most of the Hagwons that were hiring at that time were really bad ones. And I didn't want to put myself through that. So I ended up switching to a D10 visa, which is a job seeker visa. And then I finally found a job, and I was officially on the D10 visa, like got my ARC, Alien Registration Card, for the D10 when I had to go back to immigration to switch back to the E2. Because it takes like a month and a half for the visas to get fully processed and for you to get your ARC card if you're switching visas. And my goal was to get on an F27 visa, which was a long-term resident visa. And with that kind of visa, you can do other work that's not teaching English. And that's what I wanted so that I can work on music instead of teaching. But there's some technicalities to the rule. You have to be on the same visa for 3 consecutive years. And so I had those 2 years in public school. I was on the D10 for officially for 1 day. And then I had a new E2. I called immigration and asked okay, since I was on the D10 for 1 day, does that mean that I have to start over or will it not count? And they said I had to start over the 3 years. So I was really upset. I was like, okay, fine. So I was at a Hagwon that ended up being not super bad, but it was very difficult. There were some problems. And then this past year, I went to a different place. And this is where shit hit the fan for me, because I've known that I've had anxiety and depression since I was 20. And 2022, I was doing that Hagwon. I was doing violin and viola. I was doing pole dance and hoop and so many other things. And I got burned out. I got triggered by religious stuff. And I had a bad mental breakdown. I won't go into detail, but I had a bad mental breakdown and I had to immediately start seeking help. And that's one of the biggest gripes I have with Korea, is with the stigma against mental health. I was going through this crisis and I had to hide it. Therapy is not covered by insurance here. Psychiatric meds are, which is great, but I needed therapy consistently, and I was going to therapy once a week for a while, and now we've scaled back to twice a month because I'm doing better now. But there's a huge stigma. And the working culture, the work-life balance is really bad. Academies suck these English teachers dry. And not only was my mental health really bad and still is pretty bad, but much better than it was in March. I'm burned out. I'm exhausted. And, at the time when I was in the thick of the shittiness of how I was feeling, my instinct is to run away. So I was like, I want to get out of here. But I was like, okay, I can't make a decision like that right now when I am not feeling well, when I am not mentally well. It's not a good time to make big decisions like that. Just wait it out. If you still feel that way after a time, then, figure something out. So I waited, and then signs kept popping up of where I need to be next, which I'm not going to reveal now. I will reveal it once I'm able to get a visa to go there. But yeah, I felt my intuition say, yes, you need to leave, basically. Because I realized that what was contributing to my really poor mental health was teaching. And keep in mind, I love kids. I adore kids. I've been around kids my entire life. My younger brother is 4 years younger than me. So since I was 4, I was around little kids. I got my first nephew when I was 14. I love kids. And I babysat kids a lot. I love their active imagination. I love how candid and honest they are. They're so cute. I'm always learning from kids, and I love kids. Teaching them collectively, I'm teaching kindergarten. They don't want to sit down. They don't want to listen. They can't listen for long periods of time. They're going to be picking their nose and staring at the ceiling and talking to their friends, and I had to keep the class together, and that costs a lot of energy. And then, there's other things and other demands, and my current job is pretty cushy compared to most Hagwons right now, which is a good thing considering how burned out I am. I realized, that I'm so tired and so mentally unwell, even though I am doing better now. I haven't put out a full song in 2 years. I'm currently working on an album, and I'm currently working on a song about my grandpa, who passed away in October of last year, but I haven't been able to finish a song. And it's time for a change. And I can't teach anymore. I realized that if I stayed another year, did another year of teaching for the chance of getting on an F27 visa, which, by the way, maintaining that visa means that I have to make 40 million won a year. That's a lot of money. And then to get a step higher, I would have to make double the average Korean income and make 80 million won a year. And so I was like, is doing another year of teaching for the chance of maybe being able to do what I want to do, but that comes with the caveat of maybe still continuing to teach so that I can make that income requirement, is that worth the decline of my mental health? And the answer was no. And I really wanted to make it work. I really wanted to stay in Korea. I really wanted to make music here. It's a thriving culture. It's a thriving scene. But the visa system is really bad. The work culture is really bad. It's not sustainable. It's not good for mental health. And I don't even like the entertainment industry here anymore. I've learned so much about how corrupt these agencies are, and that the life of an idol is not glamorous. It's really tough. And, I decided I want to stay an independent artist. But it just seems like that's going to be too difficult here. And it's time to go. I've talked a little bit on one of my gaming videos. I think it was like a Final Fantasy VII video. That, if you're feeling lost in your life, you're feeling bad, you're feeling awful, you're feeling stuck, then you need to figure out what you need to change. And for me, it's a few things. I need to change my location. I need to change my job. And I need to do what I love. So in March, once I have finished my current contract, in March, I'm going to be going back to the States. I am not going to say where in the States because of my own personal privacy and safety. I don't want certain people to know where I am. So I'm not going to say where I'm going to be, but I'm going to be there until I can figure out how to get to the country that I want to go to next, where I want to move next. And of course, Shushu is coming with me. But I'm going to start doing what I've wanted to do since I was 11 years old, and that's make music. I'm also going to rest because I need that desperately. So that's the plan, basically. I'm going to move to the States, I'm going to rest, and I'm going to make music. I'll play a lot of games and continue to put them here. I might make a second channel, make that dedicated to gaming. Who knows? I'm still deciding on that. But it's time to end my teaching chapter of my life. It was not one I wanted to do forever. I'm a good teacher, I would say. And I've done I have taught some teacher training classes before. I am a good teacher. I love kids, but I don't want to do it anymore. It's too taxing for me mentally. And teaching in Korea with its stigma against mental health and not being able to have sick days is too much. And sticking it out for another year to get on that F visa and having to maintain that F visa and continue to deal with a system that's not very catered to foreigners, because Korea is still a very homogenous country, even though it has globalized because of Hyundai, Kia, Samsung, BTS, Blackpink, whatever. It's still a homogenous country, and their visa policies are very difficult. And I cannot continue to live in a country where it's really difficult for me to stay here. The country I want to go to has much easier visas, much more flexible visas where I can do what I want to do. So yeah, that's the big announcement. It's time that I start doing what I really want to do and be happier, less tired, less anxious, less depressed. So yeah, that's gonna happen in March. So I still have a couple months here. Work's gonna be more difficult because I did agree to take on more classes so that I can get more money to have with me when I go back to the States. But I'm actually gonna give myself 2 weeks in March to basically say goodbye to Korea. I won't be working those 2 weeks. So yeah, it's gonna be like the middle of March when I move. But I wanted to make this announcement now to explain a few things. I could talk, at length about public school here versus Hagwons. I could talk at length about F visas if you want me to. I could bitch about a lot of things here if you want me to. Let me know, drop a comment. But this video was mainly to talk about why I'm leaving Korea. And I guess I can end saying this. Korea is a very beautiful country with such vibrant life, really beautiful traditions, really delicious food, beautiful language, respectful people. It's a safe country. The music is really awesome. Some of it, not all of it. The nightlife is great. I'm gonna miss noraebangs and I'm going to miss PC bangs. Since I do both of those things a lot, I have met incredible people here that I know I'm gonna miss so much, that have been really supportive of me. I definitely would love to come back to visit, and who knows, maybe I'll be living here again someday, but not as a teacher. And what I would say to people that are thinking about moving to Korea is try it. I would recommend going through public school, but try to do things on time so that you can get a city. You could even get Seoul, that's rare with Epic, but it's possible. But try it out for a year or two. I would not recommend Hagwons. Absolutely not. I would recommend public school. But try it out for a year or two, and then, go back to where you're from or go somewhere else. Because Korea is a beautiful, wonderful country. You learn so much, and it changes you and it changes your life. But it's a hard place to live as a foreigner long term. It can be done. I've known people who've been here for over a decade. It definitely can be done. But that's if you can handle the stress and the lack of mental health resources and all of that. But, if you can't, don't try to make it work. That's what I have to say. But, I love Korea. I wouldn't have been in Korea for about 4.5 years if I didn't love it. And I really try to make it work. But I can't anymore. So it's time to move on. And I'm really excited to move on, actually. I love change. Change is so good for you. It's so important. And I am just hoping that this change will lead to me being able to full-time work on my music, put out my album. And God damn it, I would love to tour and I would love to perform. I would say that I'm grateful that I've been a teacher for this long, because teaching is performing. You have to perform every day, every single class. You have to be up in front of a room of kids. You have to project. You have to manage the energy in the room and build that rapport. I know that the skills that I gained as a teacher is going to carry through to being an entertainer. And I'm looking forward to that. And I know a lot of you that are watching have been longtime supporters of my music and want me to be able to do this. And if you yourself have these kind of dreams, that's one of the biggest reasons why I started making music in the first place, was because there were music artists that inspired me, and I wanted to do the same. I wanted to inspire other people to make music too. Yeah, I know a lot of you really want me to put out more music and more creative projects, and I want that as well. So hopefully this year and the next and all after that, I'll be putting out really good music. The 20 songs I put out in like 2019 and 2020, I was figuring things out. So they're not the best. Which makes me appreciate you guys so much more. That you're able to support me as I've been growing musically and artistically. What I've been working on, I am really proud of and really love. I just don't have time or energy to do it often. So I'm making these changes so that I can. And I can't wait to be done with this project and to share it with you all. So, yeah. I'm going to leave Korea. It's always going to have a place in my heart, though. And I'm going to be going on a new journey. And I hope you all continue to support me through this journey. I'm sorry this video is really long. It's unscripted. I don't like to script videos. I just like to talk. So if you're still listening, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your support. I just passed 100 subscribers the other day, and I want to say a big thank you to my snow angels that have been here and supported me, and thank you to the new ones coming in. I hope you'll enjoy what I put out. I hope it will inspire you and make you feel heard and validated. And yeah, I'm gonna end the video here. And yeah, I'm excited for what's to come, and I hope you will continue to support me as we go through this journey. So thank you very much for watching, and please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!